Hey, and welcome back to the podcast. I'm your host, Megan Waldrep, if you're new here. And if you've been here forever since we've started, hopped on anytime in between, I so appreciate you being here. It is incredible what we have built. We are almost at 150 episodes. I think we're over 140 now ish, around that area. And it's just really incredible to think how this all started. And I have to say, it's been a little emotional, not a little, it's been a lot emotional for me to not only create this incredible space, but to organize and plan the next 9 weeks of what this podcast is going to be focusing on. And so this begins the first of a 9 special episode series called the POCF Origin Series. This is where we revisit the very first blog posts that launched this community of the Partners of Commercial Fishermen. And these are the real stories behind how I fell in love with my fisherman, Chris Dabney. And accidentally, with your help, we built a global network of women who are the backbone of the commercial fishing industry and have given them a space to feel seen, heard, and less alone. Thanks to many of you listening today. And if you're new here and if I've met you through other areas of life, welcome. I really invite you to walk along this journey because we're going back to the beginning to really tie it up in a beautiful bow. And today we're going to start with part 1, which is a whole new world. And this is based on the blog post called 9 Things to Know When Dating a Commercial Fisherman. I wrote this, many of you know this story, but I wrote this blog post when there were no resources online about being with a commercial fisherman. I looked, believe me, I was Googling. Chris came to visit me in California when he was living in Washington at the time. And he told me that he was going to Alaska for 3 months. And I thought, 3 months? Are you effing serious? That is a long time. That's a lot to ask from me, from a young woman. And is this really a relationship that I want to get involved with? Because, whoa, 3 months. And then next time it's going to be longer. Who knows? What does that mean? What is he even doing up there? I have no clue. So that's when I looked online and I looked for articles online. There were a couple about dating a sports fisherman. And I always say they were talking about, the fishing lures are on the table and they leave their fishing poles everywhere. And my main concern was, is he going to die? And what is the severity of this industry? Like, what is it going to be like for people at home? Is there any kind of support? There wasn't. And so I wrote 9 Things to Know When Dating a Commercial Fisherman. And that is when our community was built, because I got emails from women all over the world saying that they could relate. And it brought me to tears to know that I wasn't alone. And also, oh, wow, there's other women out there who feel the same way. And so I'm going to start with 1. This is from the 9 Things to Know. And I'm going to dive deeper into what this all meant, what I've learned with you, and all the good stuff in between. So number 1, when you date a commercial fisherman, you're introduced to a world you never knew existed. You learn that people travel long distances, the same area as in the TV show Deadliest Catch, in gnarly summer weather, in big expensive boats, with lots of expensive gear, with big old expensive permits to legally fish each season. You can't quite wrap your head around it when they explain their profession to you. Then your head explodes when you learn that their sister does it too. That was number 1. This felt like, and I'm getting emotional now because y'all know this, how it's just real here. We don't mess around. But I remember writing this and just being like, what can I share with other women who might be looking? Because I have no idea if there's other people like me at the time. What can I share that I've learned? So that's why I created these 9 steps. Today we're focusing on the 1. And really it was learning when he said he was going to Alaska. I was like, what do you mean? Like Deadliest Catch? And he goes, actually, yeah, it's the same kind of area. It's the Bering Sea. It's a lot different, though, because in Bristol Bay, Alaska, we fish close to the shore. We're at the river mouth catching sockeye salmon. Deadliest Catch, they're out in the deep Bering Sea catching crabs. It's different. However, it's still ferocious. And I've since learned, after he's gone up to Alaska, that every season there is a fatality or more. And it's really, really sad and terrifying in that way. And this was 10 years ago. I thought he was cute. I was like, look at this hot guy rolling up in my office. He's from California originally. He surfs and then he fishes sometimes. I don't know what the hell that means. And honestly, neither do most people, because commercial fishing is one of those industries that operates in the background, really. It's kind of like we know fish exists, we understand the term wild caught, but that's as pretty much as as far as the average person thinks. But suddenly, falling in love with this person who is my heart, of course. But I was thrown into this entirely new universe that I never knew existed, where people travel thousands of miles to fish on giant ships and with gear and permits and all those things worth more than most homes. And it's to catch fish that fuels the global economy. That is effing amazing to think that. And then I was thinking, wait, is this real life? I'm entering into this space. And then when I learned that his sister fishes, that blew my mind because it never even crossed my mind that women fish, admittedly. Yeah, I know I'm being gendered here, but at that time I didn't think that women fished. Of course they do. Of course there are women soldiers, there are women on the front lines, there's women doing all kinds of things that we want to do. But it just thought, oh, damn. And I immediately felt intimidated and I felt, yeah, maybe I don't belong and maybe I'm not strong enough to be a part of a family like this. That breaks my heart to think about it now because I can't imagine other women having to feel that way when realizing that actually our strength is so much more than lifting traps. Our strength goes beyond that. It's emotional, it's spiritual, it's mental, it's physical in ways that we don't realize too. Everybody's part is important. I'm not saying one is more important than the other, but the strength of the partners of commercial fishermen worldwide is effing intense in the sense of resiliency, trust, and the amount and immense love that we give and the care that we give. It's hard to actually put into words, to actually measure. But learning more about this lifestyle, there were two things that crossed my mind. It was total fear and total fascination. It was like falling in love with somebody and discovering they had a second life that I may never really be a part of, which is hilarious now moving forward. And I'm sure a lot of partners feel this way too. It's like, oh, we're a part of it. Whether that's even just emotionally a part of it, we're a part of it. But also became this crash course of geography and world economy and weather and logistics and even more was community that I learned afterwards, because this industry isn't small. It's massive, and it's filled with some of the most hardworking, resilient people I've ever met in my life. And in looking back, it made me realize that first moment and that first idea of thinking, oh, I don't know anything about this world, really opened the door for everything that came next. The blog, the podcast, are the incredible partners of commercial fishermen community, and the pride that partners carry, often quietly behind the scenes. So that first blog post was the first thing that I wrote about this lifestyle, and really the first piece about this lifestyle on the internet, which is so incredible to think about. And then after that, it was amazing to not only write about more of the nuances on my end, but to interview other women and to share their stories, to show others that we're not alone. And this is what challenges they're going through too. And two of those women who were the first members of our Partners of Commercial Fishermen community were also female fishermen. They were also fishing alongside their partners, and they were also carrying the emotional weight and the load of being a partner of a commercial fisherman. Extra strong women, okay? Extra, extra strong. So what I've learned is that being introduced to commercial fishing opens your heart and your eyes. And it's a life that most people will never understand. And this is another funny story that I want to share. I believe I've shared it before too, but not only did I write this post to say, hey, this is what I'm going through, just to give you a heads up, it was also honestly like a red flag. Hey, women out there, if you're not down for this lifestyle, this is what it entails. You make a decision that works best for you. For example, Chris was fishing in California. He was fishing spiny lobster at the Channel Islands, right off the coast of Ventura and Santa Barbara, California. Chris is from Santa Barbara. So one day he's on his boat and he's talking to another fisherman, as they do, as we all know. And he mentioned something about the Partner of the Commercial Fisherman Community, and his fisherman friend said, "Oh yeah, I've heard about that. I know that blog. I've read it before." He said, "Actually, I was dating a woman 3 months ago, and we had just been together for maybe like 1 or 2 months, and she was asking more about the industry and what my job was. So I sent her to your wife's blog, and she immediately said, 'This lifestyle is not for me. I'm out.' And they broke up," which honestly I feel is a huge win, because let's save everybody time here. And the fisherman said, hey, I'm glad I knew in advance. I'm glad I didn't waste any more time, and she didn't waste any more time. We all knew what was going on. So I love the fact that this serves people of all sides. It wasn't like, hey, come into the fold. You can do this. You're strong. It was like, hey, come into the fold if you can do this, if you feel you are strong enough to do this, if you have the energy to put towards something like this, or even the energy to regulate your energy, to regulate your fear and anxiety. Do you have it in you to constantly ground and go in with yourself to make sure that you're not spiraling? Been there, done that. I go there often. If I start to feel myself spiral, I have my techniques that I can use to get me grounded again. And honestly, after practicing these techniques, which I'm going to share with you, I'll share with you later, but it's really becomes second nature. It becomes subconscious of way like, oh, I feel like I'm getting tight. I'm feeling warm. Okay, now I know what to do to just ground and know that everything's fine. Everything's okay. I don't need to worry about the unknown. I don't need to go down these stories of what if this is going to happen, fear, 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 all the things that just make everything exacerbate, when really you're just sitting down in your house or in your car and life is just happening all around you. Nothing has changed except for the big ass stories that we created in our heads. Our brains are incredible machines. However, if we indulge too much, they can, as we know, make us mentally strain and hurt. And we definitely don't want that at all. And like I said, talking about this series, I've put talking about this and starting the series off for 2 days. 2 days ago, I went on a walk and I sat in my car. I put on this song that I had just learned about, and I bawled crying for about 20 minutes by myself. I think there was someone parked next to me on their phone. I didn't care. Like, it doesn't matter. I was ugly crying in my car just to get it out, because man, honoring time that you've spent as the person you were is just such a beautiful space to be in. Honoring the time and space that you were with other people, and hope to continue to be in these spaces with the people that you've grown with, is such a beautiful experience. And to cry is such a welcoming, therapeutic, healthy way to move that energy around. Crying is not negative. I cry all the time. I'm not crying and using it in a victim-y sort of way. I'm crying in a way that cleanses my soul and that really makes me feel alive. Because within that crying and in that grief, because it really is a mourning process whenever you're transitioning and shifting into a new phase of your life, this new evolution of yourself. When you cry, that is when you are alive. When you're grieving, that is when life becomes more tangible to you. You can almost taste it. I remember crying, there's tears pouring down my face, and witnessing myself crying and be like, this is what it means to be alive. This is what it means to be a human. It's not always going to feel like this. I'm not always going to cry forever. It's not even possible to just bawl crying 24 hours a day. But man, during that space and time, I'm like, let it out. Don't try to hold it back. I really, so when people say, oh, don't cry, I understand what they mean. They don't want you to feel bad, because then it makes them feel bad, and they love you and they want to make you feel comfortable and safe. But I'm like, you want to cry? Effing cry, man. Scream, get it out. You can stomp your feet on the ground, outside, scream into a pillow. These are all helpful, healthy releases that you can do for yourself. It's not like screaming at other people or kicking other people. We don't want that. We want to be able to get all this kind of stagnant energy out so we can be like, oh, okay, let me recenter. I feel so much more clear now that this is out of my system and I'm ready to heal. Honestly, I'm ready to heal. And so that is really what this 9 weeks is all about. This is a beautiful way. This is a love letter to you, this community, the Partners of Commercial Fishermen. It is a love letter from my heart always to you on what we've created. Holy moly. It is just, we changed the world. We helped other people. We made the world a better place just by being together, sharing our stories, tuning in and listening to one another, going on socials, going on the blog. Every way that you've been able to connect, whether you've reached out or not, is a part of that beautiful love energy that we have done to help shape the world for the better. And I deeply thank you from the bottom of my heart. And I will every day for the rest of this year, as I have every day since we've started this podcast and before. And so stick around. Next Wednesday, part 2 is all about eating seafood with a story and how loving a fisherman can turn you into an environmental advocate overnight when you didn't even expect it. And believe me, I resisted. And before you go, I wanted to share those tools that help me ground and feel less stressed out. So I created a guide called the Calm Compass. Inside, you'll find 4 simple breath techniques and a short check-in to help you reset when stress takes over. And this is honestly the toolbox I wish I had when Chris and I met and he was fishing in Alaska, or when he'd go for day trips out in California and the weather was shifting and I was wigging out. This is what I wish I'd had. And I'd love for you to have it. You can grab it for free in the show notes. It's the Calm Compass. Click on the link. It'll hook you up. And heck yeah. Honestly, this is what I use to this day whenever I'm feeling like a certain way. If I'm getting triggered, especially hormonal imbalance triggers, ladies, if you know, you know. And if you're going through perimenopause and menopause, you're not alone. I've shared on here how that's looked. And I had a funny episode the other day. Is it episode? Situation? Okay, I'll share it with you. So it's a week before my period that I feel that the hormones are starting to turn. And in my younger years, I never really felt any shift, but honestly, maybe I just didn't feel it because I wasn't tuned in with myself and I was heavily medicating with alcohol and drugs. So there's that. But the other week, it was 2 weeks ago. It's this early fall weather. So it's in the South, at least, it turns to maybe the upper 60s, low 70s in the day, but it's really, really cold for me anyway at night. And so the house, we have it. I like to sleep with it cold, so I don't have any heat on at night. We have the heavy comforters. It feels so good. But when I get up to do my morning rituals, I'm cold, and it takes me a little while to heat up. And so I was in here working, I believe, on this 9-week podcast series. And all of a sudden, I got rage because I was so cold. And Chris was refusing to turn on the heater. His thing was, why are we turning on the heater when it's going to be 74 degrees by 11 or 12? And I'm like, okay, I'm effing cold right now, though. Okay. So we had this conversation one time. I'm working on my computer. I'm cold. I get pissed. Hormones raging. Hello, perimenopause. I storm out of my office. Bless his heart. He's drinking coffee, chilling, reading a book, having a beautiful little calm morning. And I said something like right out the gates, so what is it? How cold does it have to be for you to want to turn on the heater? And I start going off. His eyes are round like saucers. He looks like a deer caught in headlights, like, oh my God, what happened to my wife? And I'm just like going up. He's like, okay. And he was very calm. He goes, okay, I feel like you're coming at me very strong right now. And I said, I am. I'm going to go. And I turned around and came back to my office. And it took me a couple minutes to cool down. Then I'm just like laughing my ass off because bless his heart. So I go out there. I apologize. He gets it. He's very forgiving guy, but it was just so funny. He just thought, I'm scared. That's what he said. He said, my first thought was, I'm scared. And I told him, okay, well, if it gets too cold again, we don't have to turn off the heater, but I am going to start a fire in a trash can to warm myself up. Anyway, I got a space heater. I forgot I had a space heater, so that's what I'm using in my office so we can have a happy compromise. Anyway, I'm just sharing this side note of perimenopause. energy, the emotions that happen. And my long story short is these breathing techniques have helped. This was the other trigger that he said. Because before he goes, I said, how old does it have to be? He goes, well, why don't you just he said, why don't you put on another layer and do breathing exercises? And I'm like, I'm going to kick your ass because I'm supposed to tell myself that. You're not supposed to tell me to do breathing exercises. Oh my God, it's so funny. Relationships are so funny and silly sometimes. And anyway, I mean, he's not wrong, but that to me was that in that moment, like telling a woman to calm down. Like, you need to calm down. Like, oh, hell no, I will go half Puerto Rican on your ass in 2 seconds. And perimenopause, let's go. Anyway, these are breathing techniques that will help them. So, long story short, free in the show notes, the Calm Compass, 4 breathwork techniques, and a self-assessment, which I got from a therapist several years ago. So you don't have to go to therapy to get the self-assessment. I'm already sharing it with you. You don't have to pay for it. It's all good. So the series is also a celebration of where it all began, but it's also a gentle shift into what's next. Do you like how I just slowly transitioned quickly into that? But it really is. This beautiful continuation is going to be an evolution for us all. So on January 7th, this podcast becomes the Megan Waldrep Podcast. And the connection's going to stay. The journey's going to evolve. It's going to obviously have touch points to commercial fishing life and what I've learned, because holy moly, what we've learned together and how that shapes into future conversations that are going to help you feel better, reset your energy, and connect with yourself to feel totally alive in what you're doing. Doesn't that sound awesome? I want this to be a space in the week that you can come and have a little reset. Be like, oh, this is my break. I'm going to reset, be myself, connect with myself, listen to people who have the exact same type of mindset as I do, that are curious to learn more and just share real ass stories that you don't have to feel bad about, and that you can totally feel that you are not alone on whatever journey it is that you're going on. Because that's what we do. That's what I'll continue to do. I'm going to always be vulnerable and share my heart to yours, because that is where the real connection happens. And remember, vulnerability is our biggest strength. When we're able to connect in that vulnerable state, that is when the magic happens. And I am so excited to continue that magic with you. So thank you for being here. With love and POCF pride, I'll see you for next week for part 2.